Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host, as always. And today we are joined by Yean Fee Ho, the visionary VP and senior dev owner of SAP Business Technology Platform, specializing in low-code, no-code application development tools. With a rich history in global IT innovation and cloud-based solutions, Yean Fee stands at the forefront of technological advancements. Her expertise spans from building IT startups to leading global R&D centers. Based in Singapore, a hub of innovation, Yean Fee's leadership has been instrumental in the development of SAP's mobile tools, integrating AI and Internet of Things capabilities. With a passion for fostering global collaboration, she's worked with teams from North America to Europe. And I've asked her to join us here today to share her story and insights on Singapore's tech landscape, plus the future of innovation. So thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Darren.
Yeah, it's an honor and a pleasure. So now before we hop into this, how did you even get involved in tech and business? I mean, are your parents in this space too? Is this like a family industry kind of endeavor?
No way. This is so way after my dad industries or time. So I have always been more mathematics and science and logical person. I was aimed to be an architect. I do like drawing and architecture. But when I actually stepped into the computer industry, I started with programming, and I found that it was actually easier than literature.
That's good. Leaning into your talents.
Yeah, so it was not as difficult to write a code than memorizing all the histories and literature. So I thought that this is interesting, and when I get to know about what is computer programming, I was totally amazed by the power and the future. So I just turned around and go for this direction. So I got myself a software engineering degree, and I love the creativities and the work of programming and get a product and 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 off you get and applications that's running. It's just so amazing. I was overwhelmed and amazed, and I tell myself that I like to be part of the creation of a program. So when I got an opportunity to be a programmer, I see the software that is running on this little box, and the screen. I just feel the joy, and
That's
that's how it's all started.
That's fantastic. Naval is someone I really admire. He's a tech billionaire, and he talks about that traditionally there were only two forms of leverage: people and money. Either you had a lot of capital, but you needed permission from people to use their money, right? You'd have to
Yeah.
collect them. And then people, and you'd need permission from people to lead them. Or even if it was slave labor, you had to have enforcers, and
Yes.
they would have to give you permission to follow you. But now we're in an era of almost like a new gold rush where now
Yes.
we have permissionless forms of leverage, which are code and media. Code is just an army of robots. If I had 10,000 robots that would do anything you wanted, what would you have them do? And that's right. These robots are built with ones and zeros and they live in servers. And
Yes.
media is the same thing. We're going to do this interview and we're going to spend, an hour of our time here. And this is something that can serve hundreds of thousands of people and be there. I still get downloads from interviews I did in 2015. So that hour has been infinitely leveraged, right? So when you talk about
Excellent.
the power of it, I wanted to say that for a minute so the audience here understands, what we're up against. And
Good.
I think it's so powerful. So now, can you talk a little bit about what were some of your biggest challenges then? Obviously, software is not easy. There's so many different languages. There's been a lot of upsets in the industry over time. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your career, be working in the tech industry?
I think when you say software is not easy, actually, when you actually learn one language and do it is not difficult.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
the difficulty is the changes, evolvement of new technology in the cycle is only getting faster and faster. So
Mhm.
at times I kind of feel that the God must be crazy because he want to see the next chapter. So that's the challenge of keeping up with the changes. But overall, technologies, IT is a very new industry. So
Right.
in that sense, you are learning going forward in the evolvement. You are not studying about old days. And the old days is like a building block. It has systematically building a very good foundation of the core. So when you started from there and it's continue in the refinement of it and only ease and improve, if you can follow this, ideally, structurally, architecturally, it is not difficult.
You know, when you say that, it makes me think of blockchain and the scientific method, because that's how science is supposed to operate, right? There's
Yes.
the guy that wrote this great book, David Deutsch, wrote a book called The Beginning of Infinity. He's the godfather of quantum computing. And
Yes.
essentially, he says science is specific explanations that are hard to vary without ruining the outcome. So, for example, Greek myths, there's a Greek myth about why we have seasons. And it's, you know, one of the gods was kidnapped by the Lord of the Underworld and he rapes her. And so the world cries. And that's why we have winter. And then she gets released. Her mom negotiated her release. And that's when spring is here because she gets to go home a couple months every year. But that explanation doesn't explain, like, I'm in the Philippines right now. We don't have winter. We just have heat and water. So that's an explanation that doesn't suit here. Whereas how they figured out that the sun was the center of the universe was actually observing the phases of the moon and of Venus, and being able to understand that the only explanation for this means that there must be a glowing object, and, you know, using geometry and physics, they can explain it. And it's so specific that they can't change any of the details. They can't make it the distance different without it ruining the whole explanation. And so when you talk about this, how it's like layers and layers of infrastructure, that's what science is supposed to be built on, right? And same with blockchain. Essentially, the best succeeding chain wins, right? With the best foundation and structure. So, can you talk a little bit about this to people? Like, if someone is either, you know, starting out or struggling to start, you know, doing R&D to bring this sort of form of leverage to their business, where do a lot of people get tripped up? Like you say, innovation is happening so fast. You work with a lot of startups. What would you recommend to someone starting out or struggling?
I think if you know who you are and what is your strength, and you try not to be other people but be yourself, I think there is always a room for you because you started to know that computer is useful. So just like someone, computer to me is like a language. It's a new language, and you know that brings you into the community. So you may not language by knowing how to speak it, but if you appreciate it, you understand it, you're going to use it. So as long as you are in this
Yep.
universe that take and play part of the role in this technology and consume it, use it, ask for it. I mean, if you are not the one that is doing the fundamental of implementing it, it is okay because the player, the game is just getting bigger. It start off by only a few people that know how to do it, and the
Right.
rest all consume it. But initially, only very few people consume it. It means use it, and only you know it was a commodity, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But now everybody knows it, and a lot more people knows it. So you can build it, you can use it, you can explore it. So it becomes part of the community. So if you think of that, and couple with who you are, where is your strength, there is always a room for you to be part of these activities and part of this change in the industry.
And are there any languages that you would recommend, like Python, PHP, JavaScript? What would be, because I know someone that did Ruby on Rails and they said that they wish they'd learned a different one. So,
So I think likewise, as I say, if you want to be the hardcore, you go to the bottom, you go to the Java, you go to lowest and the technology and the IC chips, you know, the hardware to actually create the robot. But if you are in the business, you go higher level. And that is where you get low code, no code, and building blocks, and in a much more easier way to actually got it. And that is producing it. And if you are not directly producing it, you can be the one who understands that there is a technology. You be the one who command, be the product manager, product owner, but you know the power. So then, and you know your business. So you can be the one that articulate what is needed for your industry. Because the one who know the language don't have your expertise. But for you who are in your expert, as I say, you need to recognize and appreciate who you are and be good. And then now you appreciate this called language, which is a new commodity called computer programming. It's going to facilitate you and you have trust. So you're going to try to say that I want to use it in my business and in my community, in my universe. So you're going to engage, you're going to learn about it, and as a product owner or product manager, you may not be the one who is coding, but you know the power. It's just like I always thought of it that if you like cakes, I mean, that's simple, right? And you really had tried the cakes in the universe. From the east to the west, north to the south, they're all different, right? You have been to Japan, so the cake is very different from the New York cakes, right? Yeah. So now you may not have to be the one who beat the eggs and put the flours and do it, but you have an idea what is the best cake for Philippines to improve from where they like it to the next. So you will be the best product manager for the new cake that you think will be selling well, because you have exposed to the others. So likewise for software, if you actually have use it, you know, and expose the capability, like you say, the AI, the robot, the blockchain, you know, that there is a lot of the technologies that you're aware, and you know the productivity and ease of use. So you want that for your industry, so that you can have an easy way of managing all your podcasts, be able to retrieve it, be able to search it. Hey, you have a command on how to build that. And if you scout around, there is something already close by. And if you actually work with someone who say, I want to add some of this, because you are the one who know that this is a new market of everybody is going to produce the content to be reused. So how to use it effectively, because you live every day in this business. So you will be the best one who articulate that requirement and work with someone. Voila, you know, it may be the best, most important next high-flying software out there. And who's the owner? You can be the owner, or you can be a co-partner of an owner creating that, because the one who know the language don't know the contents, but you are in your business. And it's not your business is more important than others, but in fact, you are in a very important business. You are riding the wave.
And how do you protect it? How do you protect your intellectual property in a world of copy paste?
I think like what you say is that there is some fundamentals, but in fact, you are building on a lot of blocks. So you are adding a little bit. And if the one that you are adding had intellectual property, it has a entrance, it's not easy to get in. Then you file a patent, or even if you don't file a patent, you had your logic, your concepts. So someone can see that if it's so simple, people look at it, they don't copy, but they can do it themselves. So you're not worried. But if you are actually the one in your business that you have a clue, you are only designing how good to use. You're not telling how others that you implement it, and you're partner with someone. So don't worry. Don't worry about it, and continue. And the more, the better people use it, then the big company is going to come and say, Darren, you had the piece of cool software. And in fact, it's no longer just that. Big guys want to come into the Papa Mama shops, because that is where the new innovations, that's where the new ownership, and voila, you know, you're ready to start another startup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the story of Flappy Bird, that game. This guy just coded a game. I think he was from Malaysia, in his basement, and it became a worldwide sensation. You know what I mean? And he was just, You just had an idea and some code. And I think Gmail is used by 1 billion people and there's only 40 software engineers. So that means 40 people are working on a product that touches the lives of 1 billion people.
It is.
Yeah. So are there any rules you talked about? There's fundamentals. Are there any fundamentals in this space in terms of sandboxing before you release to the public? And how does that typically work? I mean, we're trying to talk to people that maybe don't have a background in this and don't know. You mentioned that there's low code, no code tools, but I imagine there's still like a staging process before you go live. How does that, what does that look like? How does that work from a conceptual?
We will have an environment that is internal. So that every engineers do, they can drop it into that code line and then they can do individual tests. And then you have another code line that only when things are stable, it's actually get transferred into the one that is going to go out.
Right.
So all this has evolved and improved and become much more complex, because the old days, you actually have a much longer cycles in the software release. Yeah, you had your good time, you know. Now everybody is like, come on, I want it and I want it fast and I want no downtime to release it. So there is a lot more new software developments, agile development and how it released that is changing the whole industry.
Right.
Not exactly what I like, as I say. I think that we don't have to be over aggressive. But life, you know, I think not that too laid back, but it is take the right pace of each and individual, not get overstressed, because hey, we had a plan for the future to be better, but we live now. So I think there are just too many people that overstress and over ambitious, and that's where we do have a lot of problems on people committing suicide, people lost the drive to excel, or lost the confidence that they can compete with the robot, with the AI. Come on, cool down, you know. Yes, we need to take steps, but don't get over worried. Hang loose.
Hang loose. I agree. A lot of people, when we talk about AI, I think it's in a lot of ways, it's just a tool. We're still very far from true sentient, AI. Right now, it's just a really fancy algorithm and calculator. And I mean, accountants, I always use this example. Accountants, when calculators came out, they used to have to crunch the numbers themselves. And calculators came out, and now it let the productive ones be more productive, and the non-productive ones lost their excuse for why they were not as productive. And either they needed to get motivated or find a new career where they could keep up. And I think in some ways, the same thing enabling us. We're already cyborgs right now. It's just not embedded into our bodies. It's not embedded to our biology, but we're communicating through technology on different islands, right? So I think, in a lot of ways, there's hype and there's real, like, people's jobs have been replaced, certain people, but you just got to keep focusing on the problem that you're solving and what the outcome is. Yeah. I think that's really powerful. So what do you think of some of the specific skills and behaviors that are important for, like, your team, for example, to improve or develop?
I think we need to continue to be passionate about what we're doing, be proud, and actually have the visions that is meaningful things that we participate and produce as a career. Not only we are just getting, alive, but we actually be, like you say, contributing to the industries. So my career has been producing tools. I'm actually a software development, and basically I produce software tools in my entire career. I'm a tool developer.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So most of the time I don't write the end products of an application, but I write tools. I run the development teams that produce tools, Power Builders, and mobile development tools, mobile development kit, and now SAP Build, which is various tool in actually increasing the productivities of building an application across the industries.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's important that they be motivated.
motivated,
yeah,
and like what they're doing. And when there is new changes, take a positive side in understanding what is cloud technology, what is agile development. When, I mean, to be true, when some of these require came, and my product manager says that, Yean Fee, we need cloud. I'm like, what is cloud? She says like, hey, people all have cloud. I thought it's a features. Hey, the more you
mhm,
learn about it, no, it's
right,
where you can storing your codes and where you
right,
can do. Yeah, so it's
right,
the paradigm shift. And we used not to use agile. And then there is an industry, a movement for the goodness of producing something in a shorter cycle and being able to produce more. So we learned about it. Hey, there is real value in it. So we go learn about it. We pick what is good, what is bad, and what we can slowly integrate it into. It's real life. It's like people say is that, having intermittent fast is good. So it's
right,
like, do you want to do that all the time? Hey, you pick and choose to try it and see how it is. So
right.
likewise for technology, a new language, a new system, you learn about it. You don't need to be forced, but I mean, community show you that is advantage. So
Right.
you pick and choose and adapt it and transform yourself. So it's never boring, and things just got
And what are some of the
faster.
biggest mistakes that you see either clients or other entrepreneurs making?
Um, I think the biggest mistake is that if you believe in something and if someone believe in you and go do it, just go do it and don't be shy about it. If someone thinks that you can run something and own something and drive it, don't be too polite. Thanks for the endorsement. Thanks for the opportunity. Just go do it and try. If it fails, you still will learn something together.
Mm,
So
So that's kind of
have
in
the
line.
courage.
On the show, we talk about entrepreneurs first really making sure they have roof and ramen. As long as you've got, a roof over your head and ramen, hot noodles so you don't starve, then after that, it should be a fun thing and a playful thing. And like what you're talking about, pursuing your passions, your visions, and try to have a goal that just seems too crazy and big to achieve, right? Because the problem with a lot of people is they set goals too small and achieve them, and they leave potential on the table. It's almost like they say in negotiation. If you are negotiating something and they accept the first offer, the first price that you asked for, you didn't ask for enough, right? Like that's the whole thing. And that's people with their goals and dreams. I think it's the same sort of thing. So
I learned in business that I should know how much you had in your pocket.
okay.
Then I stretch a little bit
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the negotiations.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So what do you think are some of the most important habits in terms of successfully creating and launching products people love and enjoy?
I think it's really understand what is the problem that the layman, the normal current users are doing. What are the challenges? And they may not know the technologies, the capability, or they may fantasize it. Yeah. So the one who know technology's capability that but do not know the user's capacities and the environment. So
Mm,
try to listen to that and understand it. And then in this partnership brings the desire into reality and identify the opportunity that the technologies can bring your life better, your operations better.
I love that. Yeah, that actually really matches our research. So you're talking about market intelligence, and that's one of the most critical things for any business is to really be in tune with the problem they're solving and what stereotype or what affected actor they're trying to help. So if you say you're helping people job hunt, well, homeless people need jobs and high-powered CEOs need jobs. So it's the same problem, but there's two different kind of stereotypes that you're trying to serve. And so I think that's really, like you say, it's knowing the problem, assessing the problem to know who's affected, this stereotypes, trying to get a population size estimate and understanding it in terms of demographics and psychographics, and then understanding the problem almost better than they do, where you know the liabilities of it, the short-term and long-term costs, whether they realize them or not. And then you need to
Yeah.
be aware of everything else happening, the top 10 competitors, right? And as
Yes.
best as you can, look at their sales data, their locations, their target
Yes.
market, their offers and price points, and then even look at the industry benchmarks, right? Because you can look those up, ad performance, revenues, right? Size. And then when you take all that and you look at emerging trends and then what you want to do, now you start formulating solutions, right? And creating a strategic plan. I think that's really, really solid advice. Now,
there's no magic. It is hard work. It is analysis. It is statistics.
Right.
So there is patience in lying at this. Use the technology to actually help you in speeding up the analysis.
Right.
But
I think
it's all hard work.
And the biggest way someone could shoot themselves in the foot is not having a fundamental in place. And so building a product for a market that doesn't exist type thing, you know, that's I think a really big problem. A lot of people, I always call it the baker's problem. So someone's really good at baking blueberry pies and their friends go, wow, you should open a bakery. And they finally consider to do it. They go, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then they pick a location that's close to their house and they design the logo and the menu and the floor plan and they have these big dreams and then they actually do it and they build
There's no customers
and they open it and then all their friends and family come make the obligatory token purchase to support them.
When that's done, it's game over.
When it's done, then they go, oh, I need to find customers. Right? Versus starting with the starving crowd. Every day, there's 400 people that come out of that office building for lunch. And I'm going to serve those 400 people delicious, healthy baked goods, right? So that's, I think that's a really well said. I also think the engineering formula of like brainstorm, research, prototype, final build is also very helpful to understand that people will be in the research prototype cycle a few times. Probably longer than they think. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I come from a research institute. We used to have a lot of times and a lot of cycles to do research work. And in fact, I came from natural language processing. We were in the machine translation AI team. So, you know, that is how you actually learn about what the world is doing, and then you build on top of it. And that is how you get to the pyramid, you know, in the world on some things that is significant. But as it goes into the industry, it is always like you need some things from yesterday. So, but you will never get something if you don't invest minimum effort in doing this research work that you just talk about. So I told my managers that it's good that we do something, and they said, yeah, we can talk about next week. I'm like, no, we need to get what we have on hands now to get it done. Then we have times to actually start thinking what we could do going forward for some of the new technology. And exactly where we do, I would need to do some research. I need to do some analysis. I also take it as an opportunity for people who are interested to participate. And then we divide and conquer in, like you say, identify what are the business problem, identify what are the technology capability, identify if someone had already done it and what are the competitions. So you imagine, you know, and even if you are practical, that you don't have a lot of time, you still have to do these baby steps or this view for a start. Based on your budgets and capability.
I love that.
So that's how I continue to do research work, even I'm in commercial industry. That I have today bread and butters that I need to deliver. And how I keep my teams to be competitive is to get this baby project, POC, proof of concept, get excited and interested to prepare something for the company for the future.
Yes. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think this is probably a sticking point for a lot of people. Would you agree, if you're not a little bit embarrassed about your proof of concept product when you show it, that you're waiting too long? Is that?
Yes, I have a little story. Way back, I was doing something and I have a colleague that is competitive. He says that he knows exactly how to do that, and it doesn't need to do a proof of concept. And I told my boss, it's fine. You go ask him to go do it. And I will use our spare time and I will gather a few people, but I won't be able to give you like now. You can get it from him, but in this 4 weeks, bare minimum, I have to go through that cycle that I just talked about.
Right.
And I produce something. And since then, my ex-boss have actually awarded a lot of things for me
Yeah.
because there is no miracle. You
Yeah.
really need to do, and it's not a one-man job.
Right.
It's really a community, a strength, someone who actually go do a bit of research what are these big MNCs are doing, or there is more startups are doing, and is this really a need, and is this an emerging technology, and then what is available out there? Then we get someone to put all this idea, what to do, how to do, where we want to, and then do a little bit of POCs to prove that. Is that exciting? Is that interesting? And then you will wow people for seeing this, and that's where you get investment.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's so well said. I think that's so well said, because I think a
I
lot
have
of
done it
people,
so many cycle of that, and that's how
yeah.
I win.
And you keep talking about cycles, so iterations. I think that's a powerful thing too. I've never seen a product launch that was perfect and flawless. I mean, there's
No.
always, it's not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations. And you just have to get the proof of concept, almost like in project management, a Gantt chart. There's the critical path. And so there's all these things that you want, but there's a critical path at the core of it all. And your proof of concept has to achieve that critical path.
You have to be able to show that you can thunder through the most critical issues. So you don't actually have to complete or perfecting it. But you know that from here, where you are, you can thunder through, and in the middle, there is some challenges. So you need to actually a proof of concepts that you can skip that challenge in the middle and cross.
Yeah.
So that is what your proof of concept is.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And being incredibly closely tied to your users and even asking them. I mean, here's a great example as well. I love this example. Elon Musk made $300 million US selling a car he had no factory to build and no team to make. He made $300 million in pre-orders on a car he had no factory to build and no team to make, and was going to be 1 to 2 years before people got it. But what he did have is he had a proof of concept people could touch and feel and understand, right? Yes. And I think that that's almost what you're talking about here. And another tip, I guess, for people as well, drawing from Elon's model, tell me if you think differently, but it's almost better to go after the high-end market first if you can. Like, again, Elon did the Roadster because they're okay in R&D. They've got the cash to spend on R&D. He made a super fancy toy car, right? Roadster, electric Roadster. And then with that proof of concept has now iterated to now where he has something that's available for the masses. Would you agree? Is that sort of something that?
I think what I learned about in my industries of how to productize and get into the market, I read a book about crossing the chasms. So once you actually learned it, you need to know where you go. So you need early adopter. And either whether it's a high end or low end, or, it has a definition of who is this early adopter. So and it cannot be just, of course, to try, maybe it can be your brother and sister, your family, immediate circle, but the next is need to be bigger than that. So you need to define who is your early adopter, that people are daring, people are outgoing, people are in pain, people have a need and desperate, and people don't have a price problem, or people are just willing because it's desperate and they're suffocating. So you got all sort of reasons, political or financially or nature. So you define that as your early adopter. Once that is proof of concept and early adopter endorsed, you need to cross. And anything I learned is a bell shape. So you get this excited, but there is many people who says that I will try if he tries, because they will never be the first one. So the way you live your life, you are probably that you will be the front runner for anything. Not that you have the money, but you have the guts. And you are excited, and you seize the possibility, and you see the vision. And if it's failed, you enjoy trying with someone's on that. So you need to find that group of people as your early adopter. And when it's done, you need to complete it so that the pragmatic next group of people is going to see that it's worth the money, is stable, it's not as high risk. I mean, they think of it. And then when it got done, you got a lot more people that is value for money and is trend, is following, you got the mass. But you will always have a large group of people die, they will not follow.
Right.
So in the sense that I thought the concept of crossing the chasm taught me how to go to market for a research for a product. So I've gone through all that in my career.
I love that. And I think that's really powerful. And I want to just reiterate this because you mentioned this a couple of times now. So I went to like a CEO conference, and in the same hotel, there was an AI conference. And I just kind of, in full disclosure, I just kind of hopped the line. I had a badge, so I just kind of went in. I didn't go into any of the sessions. I felt like that would have been stealing, but I just walked the vendor aisle of this other event, right? Their vendors are paid for the spot. They want customers. That's not. So I kind of just like party crashed this other event that I didn't have a ticket for, but I just did the vendor aisle because it was AI and it was, I didn't even know. And but when I went through the vendors, what I realized was all these vendors had AI products and they were all like a month old. This is like when ChatGPT just came out. And I realized that this is like musical chairs, that even though these big companies exist, it's an even playing field right now. Their only advantage is they're already running with teams of engineers, but there's a ton of room for somebody that knows what they're doing or has access to low code tools, can whip something up. And now all of a sudden, like you say, based on your research, you can figure out what exists in the world and you can build on the top of the pyramid and literally be cutting edge. Can you speak to that a little bit? What is the current state of affairs for low code, no code tools? Is this still a pipe dream, or is this something that you could actually,
I think you still need, because there is not a lot more people wanted to have software, and the whole generation of software, you just have to speed up. So in that sense, you need to convert a lot more people to participate in this game of producing a software. So in that sense, you need to make it easy for more people who had the business knowledge to actually be part of the food chain of producing something that is good. So in that sense, you're making the bar lower for people to come and be part of the producing of a software that is for a greater market need now than a few, that we start off with. So there is, and then on top of it, AI, ChatGPT, generative AI is all additional flavor of capability that a low code, no code that can actually help to produce the entire software.
So how user friendly are the low code and no code options right now? If I went up the streets to, I don't know, my dry cleaner or something, and I said, hey, and I gave them some low code, no code tools, would they be able to make some sort of app?
I think that would probably be still some difficulties. I think it needs to be someone's that maybe is a business accounting, business analyst, or marketing, that you used to produce a lot of these tediously by yourself, and now you found that there is some low code, no code tools that you can easily put some of the capabilities together with a bit of nice UI, and then with a bit of nice logo and a couple of buttons, and you actually have a few process that you want to automate, and you have a couple of formulas that you want to put in, and you have a couple of information that is in different part of your storage or cloud. So if you have a little bit knowledge of all this, then I think you can easily be trained to use the software to produce capability for your business.
And what's required in terms of upkeep? Because like I know today, right before this, I have a WordPress site. Maybe this is a question for me, but we had 12 things to update between plugins and themes and all that, and that was just brand new. Like we typed.
I think that's where the low code, no code is excited, because it's getting more complex. Like you say, there is plugin, there is download, so these are what we are trying to help you to eliminate that in your daily life. And that is
Mm,
what we're trying to crack our head as we are pro. So we're trying to solve that problem. But of course, it's not easy.
right.
So in that sense that we try to make some part of it that you can do a simple jigsaw puzzle for your low code, no code, you have a front end. Then perhaps certain pieces, you actually allow a pro code guys to
Right.
try to be able to share the produce that you come up from the low code, no code, but not converting them to a pro, because that is your front end. But you collected something, because that is easy, because your end users may be on the floor, your end users may be out in talking to the customers, so they can actually capture that either by a scan, either by a QR code, either by a voice. It can be any media, and you collect that. So
Mm.
you can produce that because you know exactly what you want. But when you actually then need to massage it and convert it, probably leave that to someone who can use a pro code, a professional coding, to actually consume from your low code, no code applications that you have created, because you know the business on the front end.
And you're talking in some terms, and so for people that aren't techie, I want to, and even maybe to check with myself, I think there's kind of three areas that you mentioned. There's the front end, which typically means what the user sees and interacts with, right? The
Yes.
layout, the look and feel is the front
Yes, it's
end.
the
The
front of your,
button, right,
it can be an apps, it can be a plugin. So you can
right,
easily scan because everybody is using a smartphone.
right,
So you
right,
can
right,
scan, you can voice, you record. So you have a simple application that most of you can conceive what will be
right,
needed. You say,
right,
I want to capture when I talk to someone's, and I want to right away, not keeping the name card, but
right,
maybe his voice, maybe the scan, his text, little
right,
few words. And I want that to be scribbled and right away collected. I don't want to
right.
write on a piece of paper and go back. I forgot where I put and things. I want to increase my whole productivity on engaging and meeting people.
Right. So there's so in any software project, there maybe three areas of focus. Maybe it'd be front end, back end, and the database. Is that
Yeah, that's
missing anything?
minimum.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
minimum. Yeah,
Okay.
like
So the front end,
minimums.
the
Yeah.
front end would be what the user interacts with. The back end would be the logic chains, right? The code, the algorithms that, and then the database is how and where this is being stored. And each of these can
Yes.
either be bottlenecks or have an opportunity to be optimized and have to communicate
Yes.
with each other. Is that?
Yes. Yes. Yep. So that's really the minimum. And then to be safe, then you need to have the security to be able to actually easy consumes. And the trend is actually putting in the cloud.
Right.
Yeah. And when you want to scale it and being consumed by other applications so that you can process it, that's where you will want to be having new professional coding to actually take these simple applications that you have produced that serve your day-to-day running, collecting, you're really on the floor, in the
Right.
factory, in your community, in the end users. But when you collect this, you really want to massage and keep that information. You want to put intelligence analysis to it. You want AI.
Right.
You want process automations in it. So that will give you real productivities and intelligence and analysis at the back.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. So intelligence analysis, process automations. And is this also kind of where APIs come in? This is where you now you would open it up to try to interact with other tools?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. This has
Now
been
all
super.
piece together, I hope.
So where do you think things are going to be in 10 years? 10 years from now? What do you think is going to be
I
changed?
think there is really a drive. People started. I think it's no longer having a hard time to tell you that you need to digitize. Do I
Right.
have to tell you? No, we
Right.
already crossed that for most of the people in the industry. So people now is like, how can I do it? And can I do it cheaply? And can I, in some of my team members who know a little bit, to do it? And then after I do the front, okay, the back is a bit complex. There is AI, there is analysis. So how can we actually still get a good cost effectiveness to get that to the small and medium enterprise so that you can still take advantage of this intelligence of AI, process and automations that you like. So I do see the trend of this is going to be commoditized. So the services will be available, and there will be another batch beside the local no code. There will be emerging a new group of people that is having a little bit better skill with pro code, professional coding, that can consume your front end, and many of you who have produced it, to plug them together. And perhaps the big enterprise will make a lot more of these services available to actually interact and brings the overall community from the front who have harvested a lot of front-end information. But with a little bit of plug-in, you can buy services. Without buying the whole software, you can buy services to create, just like currently a lot of the HR system, employee, ERP systems that you just buy per head. You don't buy like update your software yourself. You use it as a service. You run like a meter. So those are the trend. Just like you don't dig a well at home now. You install a tap. You don't buy a generator. I mean, some part of Asia you still do, but mostly you want to install the electricity and you run the meter. So the trend going forward is just if you use that concept, that is what happened to the software services. In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, that's again how I always think about when I drive down the road somewhere, that I'm standing on the work. Somebody spent weeks and months in the hot sun making this road so I can get from A to B in 20 minutes.
That's
but for them, it was maybe 3 months, of their life.
Yes. So infrastructure, there is a cost. So I think then someone need to bear that cost and recuperate from a different way. And only if this road and infrastructure is established, you will see the increase of economy and progress of society. Because from the physical road to this internet highway, to you and the consumer who building a lot more of this small infrastructure, because you need to collect. Imagine it's like you're saving the water. So you are collecting them. You are putting them, but you want the water to be purified and drink. So you're not going to do all that, right? So you're going to put into the funnel in some way that you create that, but you're not going to know how to go do it because it is another school. That take your whole life to purify the water. And data, likewise, is similar. So if you actually simplify things in that level, you could understand how the technology is just going through the same evolutions of how we get the light, how we get the water, how we get the electricity, how we get the gas into our daily life, that we just like water. Well, no, we just open the tap. No one understands what is a well. Why do we need a well?
Right. So well said. Yeah. Yean Fee, this has been such a great call. I've got a page of notes here, 2 pages of notes, actually. I do want to be respectful of your time. Is there anything I haven't asked you yet that I should have asked you?
I hope I have actually shared with you a visions that I see is that this is the new language of the world that everyone's need to learn. And you don't need to be overstressed that you need to be the one that write and put the language. But you just know that you need to understand this language, pick from where you are, be confident that it will be part of your life and join this community. There is room for everybody. And just go enjoy life and not over worry and be positive and not worried about the robot is going to take over our job. But you're going to command what robot is needed for your industry.
I love that. That's such a great message. If people want to reach out, if they have questions, if they want to continue the conversation, where should they find you?
They can find me in LinkedIn.
Okay, so if they want to go to LinkedIn and search YEANFEEHO, you found the right one. If it's her in Singapore, the VP Senior Dev Owner of SAP Business Technology Platform. So once again, that is YeanFeeho. You can look her up on LinkedIn. Yean Fee, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a very insightful call. I know you've got your own direct reports, your own projects, your own things to worry about. So thank you for coming and sharing with me and my audience so we can all do a little bit better.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks for inviting me, and I hope it is useful insight to believe that the technology is going to change and be powerful to actually improve every business life and not to be over worried about it.